For our last section, I want to invite up two guests to ask some quick questions about really what Congressman Sis was saying. What do we do from here? What are the action items going forward that we can take in order to intervene on the abuses that are happening? So first up, I would like to invite Bob Fu, who is the founder and president of ChinaAid, and also Scott Flipse, who is a longtime friend of ChinaAid and a congressional staffer. With this testimony, I'm wondering, what has the U.S. done previously and leading up to this today in order to combat the technology used by President Xi Jinping in persecuting religious minorities?
Hey, everyone. That's a big question, and we have a small amount of time. First, I want to say that there's people in this room that are heroes as well, who have fought and are fighting and are shining a light on sort of the abuses that are going on, whether it's in Xinjiang or the Uyghur region, which I think is a preferable way to talk about Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, but other sort of issues, including sort of human rights lawyers. My friend Teng Biao is here as well, who's been tortured and experienced incredible arbitrary detention for simply trying to sort of hold the Chinese government up to its own rules, its own laws. On the technology front, I mean, this is an incredible sort of advance in the technology of abuse. Digital authoritarianism, as we call it, technological authoritarianism, is an expansive digitized surveillance system that chronicles every bit of life. Right, and it's integrated, and it's seeming to integrate sort of biometric information that is collected, facial recognition, other sort of human technologies, all into sort of an integrated policing platform. Cameras are only one part of it. Hikvision is only one of the sort of camera makers for facial recognition. It requires software, it requires computers, it requires AI. There's so many sort of different sort of companies that are integrated. Human Rights Watch, the Uyghur Human Rights Project, The Intercept, Adrian Zenz, other people are doing fantastic work sort of looking at these issues. The response of the US government has to be sort of at a 35,000 foot level, down to sort of personal protection of individuals, sort of digital hygiene or digital safety has to be sort of, integration or sort of circumvention tools have to be pushed out. People need to know how to try to make themselves more safe online, even though that is very, very, very difficult in China. But there has to be sort of things that, let me say this, because there is not much time. I mean, the issue of privacy, I think the Chinese government has recognized is a gateway issue, right? It's a gateway issue that allows them to circumvent all rights, because if you know you have no privacy, if you know and are told by police officers that you have no privacy, that everything is monitored. If you know this, then you will not engage in your sort of universally recognized rights. You will self-censor. You will not worship if you're told that worship is something that they know you're going to do. So the privacy issue, I think, is one of those issues that we really have to think about in our diplomacy, in our political outreach, in multilateral institutions, in our diplomacy with China, but also with friends and allies, because the U.S. isn't going to be able to do this by themselves. And so 80 countries have now, I think we've seen, have taken up sort of some sort of Chinese technology, some sort of Chinese surveillance technology, telecommunications. 80 countries, every proto-dictator, every autocrat, every sort of nascent dictator will want this technology for social control. And it's pushing its way out. But it's more than just challenges to sort of privacy and human rights and democratic governance. It's also sort of a long-term economic security issue as well, as the Chinese government wants to sort of turn e-commerce platforms from to Europe and from the United States to China. So there's human rights issues, there's national security issues, there are economic security issues that go along with addressing the digital security or the digital surveillance and technological authoritarian issue. I've been proud of what our government has done the last couple years, starting in the Trump administration and continuing in the Biden administration. We can always do more. We've tried to address and call genocide a genocide. We've tried to address issues in Hong Kong, as best we can. We've passed bills, and the heroes here are, sort of Marco Rubio and Chris Smith and, Jim McGovern and Senator Merkley, Jeff Merkley, and others in the Congress who, Speaker Pelosi, I don't think we would have passed all these bills if Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have been the Speaker beginning in 2018. We've done a lot in Congress, and there's lots more to be done. I'm trying to compress a lot of sort of things into one. I think I'm proud of what the U.S. government has done. There's always can be done more. This has to be a priority. The issue of surveillance, digital authoritarianism has to be, because the issue of social control can be pushed out by technology, and social control can be sort of engaged by any country that is using Chinese technology now for suppression of rights and sort of national security issues. So this has to be something that, and I can talk about it, to more about what actually can be done if you're interested.
But yes, I want to direct it to you and talk about, if you can briefly talk about how this is impacting all religions in China, and it's being implemented, regardless of which God you worship, and also what we can do from an NGO standpoint going forward.
Thank you, Scott. We don't have time, unfortunately, to have Joseph's wife, Julie, to talk about her own experience when Joseph was in the concentration camp for 10 months, and she was, under as close the kind of the digital tyranny as her husband was. Basically, she not only kind of being surveillanced with their little boy at home, but also every month the government, security officer, government officials were assigned to impose themselves to live in their bedroom for 3 days a month. Can you believe, knock, knock, I'm your friend. Tonight I need to stay overnight, 3 nights. That's to her. For a wife with a little boy, every month, at least 3 nights. That's called 结对的 in Chinese language. And the Communist Party was not even ashamed. They said, they put a propaganda with a little boy, said, "Oh, I miss my uncle." That's called uncle. This is the kind of surveillance. Of course, the Communist Party, to the churches, Congress moved just a touch, Congressman Smith mentioned about this case. There's 60 members, 32 children, 28 adults. They thought they escaped out of China in Jeju Island, in a secure location, at least in a foreign soil. But just like a few weeks ago when we were doing a briefing online, one of the elders, this is in Jeju Island, in South Korean soil, they received the text message from one of their family members, because every one of their family members in China had been interrogated, arrested, and one of the family members with the security agent, basically there with his father in Guangzhou, said, "Turn on your WeChat with your family members in Jeju Island so that we can locate them." So if we don't act now, the Chinese government any day could send their agents, forcefully kidnap them back. So that's my last appeal and prayer request for these people.
All right, thank you. And that is the conclusion of our event.